Welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Brian Hefty.
And I'm Darren Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. All right, we're out in corn stalks, but I'm thinking about alfalfa today, and there's a lot of things that we can do to increase alfalfa production if we just focus on it. We're going to talk about some of those things, including fertility, pest management, and a number of other factors in today's program.
Usually here on Ag PhD, we're talking about how you can raise a better crop, and that's tremendously important. We want you to raise a great crop. We want you to make money. That's all good stuff. Okay, but the other side of the coin is we have to do the right thing for the environment. So today we are going to talk a little about riparian areas and water quality issues.
One of the things you may find in a riparian area or out in a field is our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how to stop this weed later in the show, but first, here's this week's Farm Basics.
Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk a little about one of the most important things a farmer can do on his farm, and that is soil test, but not only soil test, learn how to read the soil test and respond accordingly.
Well, when we look at soil tests, what that is, it's really the information for farmers about what the characteristics are of that soil, whether it's the nutrient content, the soil organic matter, soil pH. There's just a number of factors. And so whether you're talking about a lawn or a garden or a field, if you want to be successful raising plants, you need to have the right food for those plants and the right environment for them to thrive in. And there's just so much on a soil test that it really overwhelms people. And I don't care if you're talking to a farmer that's been farming for 40 years or you're talking to a gardener. This is one of the scariest things for all of them is, well, okay, I understand a lot about the above ground plant management, but help me better understand that soil environment.
So what we do here at Ag PhD is try to take complex things and simplify them so a farmer is able to use them in his operation. Well, every winter we have Ag PhD agronomy workshops, and just last year we had a couple of Ag PhD soils clinics. Well, the response was overwhelming to those, so this year we're having a number of free Ag PhD soils clinics. Here on the TV show and on our daily radio show, we're talking about how to read a soil test and everything, but it's not like when you come to a full day class where we give you a book, go through everything, actually allow you to pull soil samples and read soil samples yourself. So literally in one day, you can come knowing nothing about soil testing and in a single day learn everything from start to finish, how to pull the sample, how to grid sample, how to use a soil test app, how to read the soil test and make your own fertilizer recommendations.
As Brian was mentioning, we do a number of these soils clinics around the country. You're more than welcome to come, whether you're a farmer or just somebody interested in learning more about the soils and how crops grow. This is a great place to start. Brian also mentioned that we've got a soil testing app, the Ag PhD Soil Test app. It's a free download. If you're interested even in a small amount of acres doing some soil sampling, you can start with that app. There's everything on there in terms of getting soil probes and sample bags to send into labs, to setting up grid points on your field where you can divide the field up into smaller portions so you can manage each little area out there for the nutrients that we're going to be applying.
So the reason why we're talking about this today is we really encourage you to learn more about soil testing, especially if you're a farmer. This is something that most likely you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on, fertilizer I'm talking about, and just think about it. If you were able to read a soil test and really know how to make your own recommendations, don't you think you could get higher yields? Don't you think you'd be able to save a little bit of money on fertilizer? Don't you think you'd be able to better invest your fertilizer dollar into the right thing instead of just throwing the same thing out year after year? This is tremendously important stuff. We invite you to attend one of these free workshops. I can guarantee you this will be one of the best days you've ever spent learning about agriculture.
Well, Brian, I certainly believe in the value of soil testing and what that means for your understanding of a farm or a piece of ground. Our sons are all out in the field pulling these samples for us on our farm, getting started with that just to build that base knowledge. But no matter what age you are, this is something that's going to pay you back big time on your farm.
Well, once again, we do have a number of Ag PhD soils clinics coming up this winter. We invite you to go to our website, agphd.com, and get more information there. And please register if you can. It's very helpful for us when we have enough food for everyone, when we have enough books for everyone. And again, I just think this is a tremendously important time in agriculture where you need to learn as much as you can about your biggest investment on the farm, and that is fertility.
Well, one other thing that's always important to learn about is controlling weeds, like our Weed of the Week. Can you identify this tough weed?
What's next in weed control technology? Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans will provide tolerance to dicamba and glyphosate and will be built on the Genuity Roundup Ready to Yield trait. See them in action at extendfollowafield.com.
I wish I could apply all the PK and micronutrients this crop needs at planting.
You can. When your soils are not excessively nutrient deficient, you can apply a whole season of PK and micronutrients when you plant and get top yields at harvest. AgroLiquid's exceptional nutrient compatibility and superior efficiency allows you to prescription apply everything your crop needs safely and conveniently. Research proves it. For more info, go to agroliquid.com.
Morton Buildings. Great buildings built for the great outdoors. Contact us today to take advantage of discount pricing during our annual Building Value Day sale.
Dirty work pays. That is if your dirty work includes a Soil Max Gold Digger tile plow. Soil Max tile plows feature zero deflection technology. With the only tile plow factory paired with Ag Leader's IntelliSlope control system, you eliminate the need for grade calculations and lasers. So make your next investment in a Soil Max Gold Digger. Better yield, longer planting and harvest windows, better water management is all yours with Soil Max. Visit soilmax.com.
Welcome to the 30-second tour of your local Poet plant. Local producers sell us tons of their grain. We grind it, mix it with water and special enzymes. The result is fermented, distilled, and dehydrated until it's 200 proof alcohol. Corn oil is extracted, and protein and nutrients are condensed, dried, and turned into animal feed, bringing our tour to an end with high-protein feed and cleaner-burning high-octane fuel. Visit poet.com to learn more.
A proven herbicide for decades, dicamba can provide burn-down residual control of tough and resistant weeds for up to 14 days. That's another reason why farmers will use dicamba for years to come. Brought to you by Roundup Ready Plus Weed Management Solutions.
Water quality issues are at the forefront of agriculture today. Everybody's talking about that. But you know what? As farmers, we're out here trying to make money. We're trying to raise more crops. So there seems to be a disconnect sometimes between what we're doing on the farm and what non-farmers believe. So today we wanted to talk a little about water quality issues and some of the misconceptions, and also about how important riparian areas are and what you can do on your farm to improve water quality going forward.
Okay, water quality issues, first of all, anytime they happen, and I'm probably sensitive because I'm a farmer, but it seems like anytime we have a water quality issue, immediately it goes back to, well, was there runoff from a farm? What are the farmers doing in this area?
Farmers must be to blame.
And I don't know why that is. My personal view is that I think it's because farmers don't really fight back. We don't do a good job of uniting with one voice and really getting the truth out there, and we aren't being proactive on these issues because honestly we really take it for granted that we're trying to do the right things for the environment. We're trying to put fertilizer on so all of the fertilizer stays in our field, and you know, we're very environmentally conscious, but also we don't want to waste money too.
Okay, we got two main water quality issues. Here they are. Number one is phosphorus, by far and away number one, okay? Not nitrate, that's number two. Phosphorus is number one. Here's why. Because phosphorus is the limiting factor for algae growth in water. So any of these algae blooms that happen, it's because more phosphorus gets into the water. The reason why it gets into the water is not leaching. The reason why it gets in there is phosphorus is virtually immobile in soil, and if soil moves into the water, then the phosphorus moves into the water too. Okay, so we need to prevent erosion, and we need to place phosphorus deeper in the soil. That will solve that water quality issue. Number two is nitrate. The reason why nitrate gets into the water is from leaching. So either it's gone way down into the groundwater or it's gone out tile lines into water. Now let me first say with nitrate, the drinking water standard is 10 parts per million. Almost never is there a higher level than 10 parts per million in any of the studies, any of the quality studies that we've done pulling water right out of tile lines, okay? So for the most part, farmers are doing a good job. But here's what you can do to reduce the amount of nitrate that's ending up in the tile or in the groundwater. It's understand what your soil can hold, look at your cation exchange capacity, multiply times 10, never ever exceed that number. Number 2, when we're not exceeding that number, make sure you're split applying. And then number 3, use nitrogen stabilizers. So as long as you're using the appropriate amount of nitrogen, putting it on at an appropriate time, using a nitrogen stabilizer every time you put nitrogen on, the odds are you're going to have very little nitrate that ever leaches through the system. Now, just understand that there's always nitrate in water. There's never perfectly pure water. There is no such thing. Everybody talks about clean water. It doesn't exist. Okay, there is always something in water.
Well, in a laboratory, you could have H2O and that's it. But in any kind of water, you're going to have minerals, you're going to have other things in there.
Yep, I don't know how. You'd have to clear everything out of there, and it's virtually impossible. So to think that there is something like 100% clean water doesn't exist. What we care about is as long as there are minerals in there at very low levels, everything is fine. It's not going to hurt anybody, doesn't do any damage. No harm's going to come from that, okay? So that's really what we're trying to talk about here is just understand it's phosphorus, it's nitrate, reduce those two issues, and for the most part, water quality issues off the farm go away. Now, that's not to say that we're not still going to have water quality issues because let's face it, in the United States today, most of the water quality issues are coming from water treatment plants, sewage treatment plants, and people in town putting way too much fertilizer on, and then all that fertilizer runs off onto all their pavement, and then it ends up in the storm sewer, which then goes to a lake or river. So that's where most of the contamination issues come from. We're not going to solve that as farmers, but we have to manage ourselves so we don't get further regulation on the farm. What we really strongly encourage you to do is put grass and then even trees alongside any water body that there is. So if there happens to be erosion coming off your field, it catches in a grass waterway, then it catches in a riparian area, and almost nothing ends up getting down into that water. So with these riparian areas, we think that's incredibly important, whether it's 50 feet or 100 feet wide. You need to do something there. And I know you say, well, hey, that's going to cost me some money, and what do I get for that? Well, all of us as farmers have to just chip in a little bit and do our own thing. So when we farm next to water, we have to understand we've got a little bit of cost there. Farming next to the water, we've got to have a riparian area.
All right, one other issue that we've got in agriculture, and this is one thing that we have control over, is tile inlets. When Brian talks about, well, phosphorus doesn't really move in soil, and when we look at nitrogen applications, many of them are made over-the-top broadcast, whether it's spreading urea or broadcast spraying 32% or 28% as a carrier for herbicide or whatever the case may be. We've got a lot of stuff that is up either on the surface or in the top couple inches of soil. And when we've got tile inlets and we have lots of water and it saturates everything on top and it flushes right down those pipes, that's where we can see some issues pop up in
Well,
ag.
yeah, because you're going to have soil, chemical, and fertilizer all going right down into your tile line, which is probably going right in the river. That's absolutely not what we want as farmers. Get rid of those tile inlets. What we've done on our farm and what we advise farmers to do all over the world is put in basically like a mini drain system. So have a bunch of tile lines in your potholes in your field, have a bunch of tile lines close together, maybe 15 feet apart or something like that, and a little bit more shallow, so you can get water out of there fairly quickly. Yes, it's not going to be as fast as an inlet, but it's much more environmentally conscious, and it also creates a bigger reservoir, because usually what we see is most guys just run one tile line right to the center of that pothole. Well, wouldn't you rather have about 10 tile lines all running through the entire area of that bowl? Sure, you're going to have a lower water table then, and then that way when you do have rain, you have more holding capacity there, so the need for having an inlet is less.
Well, the other thing is when you're outletting that tile water, if you outlet it into a grass water strip or you outlet it into a buffer area where you've got some room where you can try and absorb some of those nutrients, a place for any soil that may have gotten in there to get filtered back out. We've even got a bioreactor with wood chips on our farm to try to filter out any nitrates that are in the water, and it's been fantastic.
So the whole point is we just don't want any more regulation on the farm. I don't know about you, but I've about had it with all these regulations. If we just manage ourselves, manage our farm, so the water coming out of our farm is drinking water quality, then what can non-farmers really complain about? So I realize there's going to be a lot of information just thrown out there and people are going to blame the farmer, but boy, if we have data showing that the water coming off our farm is of drinking water quality, then there's really nothing more that any legislative body is going to do.
Well, one other thing that may catch non-farmers' attention as they head past your fields is weed control, if you've got our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how to stop it later in the show.
A farmer's attention to detail is what makes the difference. You take the time for service management because you know how vital it is to your operation. You service your field like everything else because soil sampling makes all the difference and gets the results you want. Download the app Soil Test Pro and start grid sampling today. Keep your farm growing strong. The more you test, the more you know.
Looking to maximize yield? Quick Roots from Monsanto Bioegg is a microbial seed inoculant that allows the plant root to explore a greater volume of soil, the key to higher yields. Quick Roots continues to generate yield response on corn, soybeans, wheat, and more, and is applied to the seed so the live microorganisms go right to work enhancing seedling vigor, increasing the uptake of certain nutrients including NPK, and expanding root volume. Maximize yield on your farm this season. Get Quick Roots today.
I've been involved in developing new technologies in agriculture for over 3 decades. The changing times demanded that we develop new and better equipment. Dry powder applications on seed can only be highly successful if they can be easily, effectively, and accurately applied to the target. That's where our company, Changing Times and CT Applicators, come into the picture. The innovative CT applicators are designed to give you the most accurate application of products such as talc, soybean inoculants, or other dry products. Remember, CT Applicators for the changing times.
Being a farmer means securing your land and livelihood for the future. Harvest Solutions from Capello USA have the grit to get you there. Our product lines for corn, sunflowers, and forage are designed for efficiency and longevity, preventing harvest loss while minimizing maintenance and downtime. To do everything you can to advance your farmland to the next generation, call us at 855-CAPELLO or visit us at capellousa.com. Capello USA, Italian craftsmanship, American grit.
Precision in grain moisture management can save you thousands in spoilage and elevator docks. The AgriDry Bullseye Controller monitors temperature and grain moisture and is available for all dryer makes and models. Plus, our AD-Link feature gives you 24/7 remote monitoring and allows you to control your dryer wherever you are. Call us today for more information.
Dry Load Store, 1-855-AgriDry.
Corn and soybean growers, it seems like, are always trying to push yield. We look at national yield contest winners and they're trying the next thing to get the next 10 bushel, 20 bushel, 50 bushel more. In alfalfa production, a lot of this goes unnoticed, what farmers are doing to improve yield.
Well, the fertility piece is the one I really wanted to hammer on here, because you think about what are you going to do for fertilizer over the course of this 3 or 4 year lifespan of the alfalfa, however long you're going to leave it out there. Yes, you can spoon feed, yes, you can throw some more nutrients on, but take phosphorus and potassium, they're not very mobile in the soil. So aren't you ahead to load it up in the beginning? I would say you are. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, oh, we're going to over fertilize and pollute everything. We just talked about water quality, but remember, with phosphorus and potassium, they don't leach down into the water and cause problems that way. So how about we place them down 3, 4, 8, 10 inches deep, just place them down in the soil and you can put tremendously high levels on. What we advise you to do is take a look at the Ag PhD fertilizer removal app. It's a free download for your smartphone or your iPad, and then you can see whatever your yield goal is, and even over the next 3 years, what's your total for 3 years for alfalfa, how many nutrients will that crop remove?
So I work with another farmer, large hog producer, very small amount of acres of land, and he said, I've got all this manure to get rid of. It's got tremendous nutrient levels in it, but I just can't extract enough nutrients out of the soil to be able to put on all the manure I want. Then he started growing hay, and he realized, wow, you raise 10 ton per acre hay. That's taking out tons and tons of nutrients out of the soil. Yep. I can hardly get enough manure out there. Right. So here's another way to supply all the nutrient levels you need. And guess what? That alfalfa went right into his brother's cattle operation. Everything was fine. You just have to look at the whole system. And with alfalfa, if you aren't fertilizing like crazy, that's the reason you're not getting better yields. That's the reason when you come out of alfalfa and back into other crops in your rotation that your yields suffer, because we pulled all those nutrients out of the soil, especially potassium, over the years, and we haven't been putting back as much as we're taking out.
So here's what we advise you to do. Do some good soil tests, preferably grid sample, lime is number one. So if you've got low pH, you have to get that pH above 6.5, or chances are you're going to suffer dramatically in terms of yield. Alfalfa is hurt the most by low pH.
And you have to have great availability of calcium. That's the other side bonus. When you're putting that lime out there, you're going to have available calcium for your crop, and you need lots of calcium for a good alfalfa crop.
Yep, so soil test, fertilize accordingly, pull plant tissue samples. Don't forget about micronutrients. Everybody talks about boron, but there are many other micronutrients that are important to alfalfa crops as well. As you know, you've got to harvest that alfalfa early if you want high quality, and then take a look real closely at weed control and insect control. Let's talk real quickly about the options.
All right, when we look at insects, there's a number of different insects. It depends on where you're at and what time of year it is, whether it's aphids, whether it's weevils, whether it's leafhoppers. The big thing is you have to keep after them. Watch your pre-harvest intervals when you're choosing which insecticide you're going to use, because you don't want to wait and say, well, I'm just going to cut this in 10 days. I'll just let it go.
You're way ahead to spray before you're going to cut. Preferably 2 weeks before you cut, but in some cases 7 days is the pre-harvest interval. Usually the pyrethroids are great, and you've got only a 7-day pre-harvest interval.
Well, you get more hay on that cutting, plus you get quicker regrowth with the next.
Okay, in terms of weed control, we strongly encourage you start with 2 quarts of Eptam pre-emerge, that's half a gallon, then post-emerge Buctril, Pursuit, and just about any grass killer. Those are really your options for weed control post.
The other thing is fungicide use, and this is one that I see guys doing it throughout the season, multiple applications, because you think about that alfalfa, you want to hold all those leaves on. That's what's going to get you good tonnage and good quality, so don't forget about the fungicides and protecting your plants. I've almost never been in an alfalfa field that I don't see lower leaves turning yellow from some sort of disease. So the fungicide is one that really does pay across the country.
Alfalfa absolutely can be intensively managed, and you can earn more income on your farm. And if nothing else, try some of these things out. Try it side by side versus untreated, and just see how it pays for you.
Well, there's lots of things you can do to increase production of any crop, especially when you start with great weed control. We'll show you how to stop this one coming up next.
The Weed of the Week is sponsored by the Enlist Weed Control System from Dow AgroSciences, a new herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate.
Farming isn't just in the land, it's in you. Take control of weeds like never before. Enlist builds on the Roundup Ready system, combining proven control of a new 2,4-D and glyphosate in Enlist Duo herbicide. Protect what matters without changing the way you farm. Talk to your seed or crop protection supplier today.
Our weed of the week is pineapple weed.
You know, there's lots of different types of weeds out there. Pineapple weed is an annual weed that we normally see in areas where there isn't other vegetation growing, where it doesn't have much competition. We'll see it on the edges of lawns, we'll see it in the cracks in the road and cracks in the sidewalk, or maybe even up your gravel driveway up into your farm place. So it isn't a big weed in terms of killing it out in corn and soybeans. That's pretty easy. It's the non-crop areas where we see a lot of pineapple weed.
Spraying around your yard, your farmyard, we would suggest using some amine, spraying late in the fall, early in the spring. That's usually a good time to wipe out pineapple weed.
You know, the cool thing about it in terms of weed identification is when those little seed heads at the top first turn yellow, you can squeeze them and it really does smell like pineapple. I know all my kids, that's one of the first weeds they could identify, and they love when they see those yellow heads, they want to go squeeze them. And I said, that's great. Go ahead and squeeze the heads and everything. Just make sure you pull the weed when you're done.
If you do end up with this weed out in corn or soybean fields, Roundup will take care of it pretty well. In corn, we also like Status. But again, this isn't generally a big problem in corn or soybean fields. It's much more of an issue around the farmyard.
That's all the time we have for this week's weed, but Iron Talk is coming up next.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
How closely do you scout your fields when your crop is emerging? We'll talk about even seed emergence on today's Iron Talk. Last summer, we had the new world record corn grower on our farm. His name is Randy Dowdy, and he just produced over 500 bushel corn this past growing season. Randy and I walked some of our fields, and while our yields have been good, they certainly aren't 500 or even 300. One of the many things we talked about was how our corn plants would be good, good, thin, good, good. In other words, every plant wasn't equal to the next, and that's what he had a big problem with. His goal is to get his plants to emerge all on the same day, if not even the same hour. If every plant has an equal opportunity to maximize yield, you'll likely see better total yields as opposed to when one plant is well behind the one next to it. Because of this, we're adding precision planting parts to our planter and making other changes as well, all in hopes that this next crop will be our best yet. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now back to the show. It's easy to stay busy on your farm over the winter, hauling grain, getting ready for next spring, or a host of other jobs that always seem pressing. However, if you want to make 2015 your best year ever, it's important to invest some of your time learning. I invite you to spend at least one day attending a free Ag PhD workshop. We have a new format, new information, and more tips to help you improve your yield and, most importantly, your profits. Go to agphd.com and register today.
For lower cost, higher production, Mandaco Agri leads with versatility unmatched. Twister is the vertical tillage unit for no-till as well as conventional tillage. Twister's ease of maintenance is forgiving in rocks and has contour conformity equaling zero downtime. Our hydraulically adjusted coulter angles make residue management easier, less costly. Spring or fall, the Mandaco Twister vertical tillage unit is the new leader. See your Mandaco Agri dealer. Visit northcountrymarketing.biz or call.
My data is mine, not mined.
Mine to share,
Mine to keep. It's mine when I want it.
mine where I want it,
And only mine. My data is mine to analyze.
mine to put to work.
Mine to control. It's mine.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
If you could see how nitrogen loss causes yield loss, you'd fix it. So fix it right, with the stabilizer proven to reduce all three ways nitrogen escapes. Nutrisphere N Nitrogen Fertilizer Manager. It keeps nitrogen in a more readily available form longer. With today's market and environment, it's a high priority to keep your nitrogen on track. To higher yield with Nutrisphere N.
I wish I could side dress more than just nitrogen.
You can. While side dressing is efficient for nitrogen applications, you can also use that opportunity to apply PK and the micronutrients your crop needs. AgroLiquid's Calibrate and MicroLink products allow you to nutritionally balance your side dress application efficiently and economically. Let agricultural liquid fertilizer help you make your next crop a bumper crop. For more info, visit agroliquid.com.
Working in agriculture over the past 3 decades, I saw a need for an accurate way to apply dry product to seed. That's where our Changing Times applicators come in. The CT applicator brush sifts powder into small particles, resulting in proper distribution. Quantities can be adjusted by the speed of the brush rotation. This allows for even and accurate distribution of product. Application at the time of planting can be used with any seed delivery system and saves farmers time, labor, and money. Remember, CT applicators for the Changing Times.
Closed captioning for Ag PhD is sponsored by Norwood Sales.
On your farm, you need speed and year-round effectiveness in your tillage program. The Quick Till from Norwood Sales allows you to move quickly through your fields, maximizing time and improving yield. Constructed of heavy-duty materials, the Quick Till is ideal for both spring and fall applications, from preparing a healthy seedbed early in the season to breaking up corn residue after harvest. For more information about how a Quick Till can improve fields on your farm, call Norwood Sales today.
Well, that's our time for today, but if you're looking for more agronomic information, we invite you to tune in each weekday for the Ag PhD radio show. You'll find us on Sirius XM Channel 80 at 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. Central.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD television show where we have another Weed of the Week, Iron Talk, Farm Basics, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.
Can you increase your field's topsoil layer by reducing tillage, planting high residue crops, utilizing cover crops, and adding manure to the soil? Topsoil can be rebuilt. For more information, visit the Responsible Nutrient Management Foundation at rnmf.org.